Bendu. I'm coming at y'all with another video today. And today, this is actually a story I wanted to talk about. I came across it at work, which was fascinating. Independent media, I think independent left news or left media, I think that's what they're called. Let me make sure I get their name right so I could plug them, because they do really dope work in terms of getting content out there or getting, important stories out there. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure I'm getting there now. Independent left news. They're a dope source for stories and articles. So if you follow my channel, definitely go show them love. I may tag their stuff down below. But yeah, so I came across this story from Left Voice that they posted in their thing. Their Discord thingamajig. Their Discord thingamajig bob. I'm kind of old school when it comes to that type of shit. So, but yeah. And the story was fascinating. So I just want to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and put an article up, and let's go ahead and read through it. So this is again, this is the article I found interesting, but I found it interesting because of this. The U.S. Navy poisoned Hawaii's water and covered it up. In the latest instance of military pollution and cover-ups, the U.S. Navy has been leaking jet fuel into drinking water in Honolulu. The environmental movement must stand with victims of climate imperialism. So again, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is important. So you'll hear a lot of people say, China's the biggest polluter in the world, China this, China that, China pollution. Whenever you bring up climate change, you get people, well, what about China? Well, what about the fucking United States military that not only murders people on a fucking daily basis, but also on a daily basis does bullshit like this? The U.S. Navy is responsible for poisoning a main source of water in Honolulu. For decades, the Navy has maintained the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility just 100 feet above an aquifer, which supplies water to the joint base Pearl Harbor, Hickam, and other parts of the island of Oahu. The 20 fuel tanks at the facility were built during World War II and hold up to 225 million gallons of jet fuel, some of which has leaked into the aquifer below. A statement by the Oahu Water Protectors Coalition explains that leaks have occurred in the past years and that the Red Hill tanks are an environmental time bomb threatening the drinking water for 400,000 Oahu residents. However, the only issue, this issue only started reporting that they could, or sorry about that, hang on. This issue only started gaining publicity in Hawaii's local news outlets after families living on the bases with contaminated water started reporting that they could smell petroleum in their water and that they were experiencing symptoms including headaches, rashes, and diarrhea. It is still unclear how long fuel has been leaking into the water and how many communities have had their water supply affected. The Navy's main response has been to cover up its negligence and stall any investigation. In fact, even after the state of Hawaii Department of Health warned residents not to drink water or use their water, the Navy claimed that as long as residents ran their pipes until the fuel smell went away, the water would be safe. Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Wow. Wow. But this isn't surprising. We know what's going on in Flint. We know that there's a lot of cities in America that are just like Flint out there, and in some cases worse. So that type of shit doesn't surprise me from the United States government. That does not surprise me, and from the military, doesn't surprise me at all. The unfolding news of Red Hill is a perfect example of a larger complex of hazardous U.S. military occupations throughout the Pacific. Due to U.S. imperialist ambitions and greater emphasis on competition with China, the U.S. military maintains its long-standing occupation. So again, we're going to critique China about pollution and all this shit, but yeah, we're going to pollute and poison our own fucking people and then cover it up again. And that's now note, one of the things I found interesting in that, so the social credit score video I did about China, well, one of the things, the aspects that they constantly bring up, now note, y'all saw that I debunked it in that video, well, debunked how they described, just debunked it, period. Because it's really not, it's non-existent, kind of. But where was I? One of the things they bring up all the time is these blacklists and how they blackball citizens. No, they blackball the business owners in the countries that do shit like this. Now, in this instance with the United States, this is the military. But for example, if a Chinese business person got caught doing something like this in China, they would go on that blacklist for doing something like this. Now, again, we have private companies that do shit like this in the country and get away with it. So, but again, China responds by actually holding the people who does this to people, you know, who harms their citizens, you know, in this way. They hold them accountable. What does the United States do? They protect them. And especially when it's the military, not only do they protect them, they just pretend it's not happening. Just run your water for a couple of minutes. You'll be fine. Go fucking have a diarrhea attack or something. Go away. Yo, the unfolding news out of Red Hill is a perfect example of a larger complex of hazardous U.S. military occupations throughout the Pacific due to, oh yeah, I already said that. The U.S. military maintains its long-standing occupations throughout the Pacific, such as in Hawaii, Guam, Okinawa, and elsewhere. So the United States has hundreds of military bases circling China. I've talked about that on the channel as well. That's what this is all about. The U.S. military presence poses an environmental threat and disregards the sovereignty of indigenous peoples throughout the occupied islands, of course. Red Hill is one of many U.S. military bases that have poisoned occupied island communities. Just months ago, U.S. Marines dumped toxic waste into Okinawa's sewage system. Jesus Christ. I may cover that story. I'm about to open this. I'm about to save this for later. Jesus. I'm going to get to this in a minute too. I pulled it up because I found this interesting. I wanted to make a couple shit libs lose their shit. But that's fucking wild, bro. That's fucking wild. Contaminating the community's water. So the Marines did that shit. Fuck, man. Given the many ways the U.S. military destroys fragile ecosystems and drives environmental collapse across the planet, you know, by bombing the fuck out of countries. Literally, Trump dropped the mother of all bombs. I wonder what that did to the environment, even though it's a desert. But still, I wonder if that had any effect on the, you know, the environment. I'm pretty sure when you drop like that bomb, they said the bomb, that's the largest bomb outside of a nuclear bomb that's ever been dropped. Literally. Yo, that's fucking wild. I'm sure that did some damage to that ecosystem and environment, even though it's a desert. Like I said, I failed science a lot too, not just math. But oh yeah, I wonder if that did any damage. I'm pretty sure. I would assume it would. You know, that would fucking do some damage to some shit. It is essential that climate activists, particularly in the United States, make anti-imperialism a fundamental pillar of the movement for environmental justice. You know what that includes, though? Now, I don't know a lot about Left Voice, so I'm not attacking Left Voice here. But what I am going to say is that includes standing up against the bullshit narrative going around about China. They're using the Uyghurs. They're using the social credit score. They're using all of these things you hear about China as a wedge to do this shit. So when you further the notion, oh, China's authoritarian, it's the same thing with Syria. When you give in, or not even give in, when you repair their claims as an attempt to, take the middle ground, this, that, and the third. No, that like there's no, there's when the evidence isn't there, it's not there. Like I said, we've heard this story, we've heard these stories before. Weapons of mass destruction, incubator babies. They even did Viagra pills for Libya. I'm not joking about that. Literally, what the fuck is her name? Not Condoleezza Rice. Susan Rice. She went up there and said Gaddafi was handing out Viagra pills to his soldiers to go. You cannot make this shit up. Well, actually, you can. They do. They literally make the shit. It's like it's literally. I feel like they're sitting around with the same Hollywood script writers, which they are. that write these shitty ass movies that come out nowadays. Like, do you guys just like sit around and, hey, I need you to come up with a story about what a fucking authoritarian government would do? It's like it's like a writer for any Sylvester Stallone movie in the last 15 years came up with a lot of these stories, bro. Like, fuck. And people believed it. Niggas believed it. Viagra pills. Go figure. So again, I'm pointing out, you can't say, you know, anti-imperialism isn't just going out, you know, talking about, you know, saying the language, you know, things like indigenous people, this, that, and the third. It's about pushing back on imperialist narratives. You can't agree with imperialist narratives and then say you're against imperialism. No, you're not, because you're agreeing with the narratives behind it. And especially in the region, they're using China as an excuse to do shit like this, as an excuse to fund the military-industrial complex, to keep it rolling. So I hope a lot of the people at Left Voice push back on the China, on the bullshit narratives around China, because if they're not, then you're kind of being hypocritical right now. Where am I at? Environmental groups with massive platforms such as Sunrise Movement should be highlighting the environmental threat posed by the military and calling for the closure of U.S. bases and full reparations for communities the military has poisoned. This would be a much more meaningful use of their immense resources than directing people to the Democrat. All right, I like that. Than directing people to support the Democratic Party, which is giving up on meaningful climate action and greenwashes U.S. capitalism. Climate activists and the left must amplify all cases of climate imperialism and military pollution and demand justice. Right now, it's essential to show solidarity with the poisoned residents of Oahu. The Navy cannot be trusted to hold itself accountable. Community members, not military officials, should be in charge of investigating the extent of the contamination. The fuel tanks at Red Hill must be immediately disposed of by environmental experts and community leaders. In the long run, the closure of Red Hill must be part of a larger effort to close all U.S. bases and uncover the full extent of military pollution and cover-ups. So this is former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. Here's what she had to say about it.
Water is life. We can't survive without water. But Hawaii is facing a massive crisis right now because the Navy's contaminated the water source that serves over 100,000 military and civilian families.
Now I want to pause it. I want to pause it here. So although I'm agreeing with her here, again, Tulsi Gabbard right now, you know, I'll let her finish.
Gasoline. And they've potentially forever ruined the largest water aquifer on the island of Oahu. The magnitude and the impact of this crisis is impossible to measure. But for years, the Navy's been well aware of this threat that their underground fuel storage tanks that were built in World War II pose to the water that we need to survive. They've lied and they've withheld information from the people of Hawaii and military families about these Navy fuel tank leaks time and time again. They've failed to take the necessary action over all of these years to prevent this major environmental and national security crisis. And even now, in the midst of this crisis, they fail to take it seriously. Their deceit and their inaction is directly responsible for the pain and the suffering of these families and the massive destruction of our water source that may be impossible to recover. So no more excuses, no more lies. The Navy must take action now to empty these fuel tanks, not in 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years, now. And the Navy must be held directly responsible for the pain, the suffering, and the devastation that they have caused.
So I agree with everything Tulsi Gabbard said there. I agree with everything she said there. However, I will have to say this is classic Americanism. This is classic American hypocrisy. You can't, like, again, Americans don't give a fuck about shit until it starts affecting them. Now imperialism is affecting you directly. A couple months ago, you're hopping on, you know, Fox News and everything, and even Tucker Carlson was serving her up to do her normal, you know, anti-imperialist message that she talks about. And what does she do? She goes and advocates. So when Tucker Carlson, he brought up accountability of the military when it came to Afghanistan, she dodged that question and went on this like pro drone strike rant, basically. So my thing is, Tulsi Gabbard, how many aquifers, how many people's drinking water in Africa, you know, the country you were just bragging about, serving in, doing whatever bullshit, you know, whatever fuckery y'all were over there doing, you know, how many environments in water, in drinking water, have you destroyed in Africa? How, like in fucking Syria, Iraq, like all of these countries were out, Yemen, all of these countries, you know, were occupying, that you were just advocating drone strikes and where the United States bombs and does all types of horrible shit. Now this is just a leak. You know, a leak that happened, which is horrible. I'm not downplaying it at all. This is bad. That's what I said. I agree with her. This is bad. What's happening to your residency where you fucking live. But keep that same fucking energy for these people in these countries that you're also imperializing. Again, this is why I say this is classic Americanism, bro. This is why the rest of the world doesn't give a fuck about America's tears when it comes to certain shit. Honestly, I have to say I agree. I'm not, and that's not me saying I advocate for the suffering of the people of Oahu or anything like that. They're an imperialized people. If you read the history of Hawaii, you know what it is. They were imperialized. You know, when you're effectively balkanizing these countries in the Middle East, and Africa as well, you know, you're setting fire to them with your imperialism. Imagine, like, it's probably this times 10 in these countries. It's way worse. And we know it is in a lot of these countries. Like Syria, for a while, people starving, dying. This is what, again, this is classic Americanism. I don't give a fuck. I'm pro-imperialism until it affects me directly. Until it affects me. And that's where it's like, the reason why I'm saying this, I'm not saying this to shit on Americans. I'm saying this because I need Americans to wake the fuck up and see imperialism for what the fuck it is. So I played that Tulsi clip because what she said there was right. She's 100% right. But I also played it to say to Tulsi and say to people that follow her still, you know, they're, like I said, I take Tulsi like case by case basis. You feel me? She just came out talking about Assange. Kudos. She came out talking about Jussie Smollett. Oh, bro, put that nigga behind bars, bro. Get Juicy the fuck out of here, bro. But came out talking about him. I applaud her for that. She had the correct stance on the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. I'm not going to go too far into that. But with this specifically, I agree with her, but I'm also pointing out the fuckery within that shit. Like, bitch, just 2 months ago, you was sitting here talking, like, making this pro drone strike advocacy when you were to the right of Tucker Carlson on this, which, like, I'm not saying, because Tucker Carlson he's sometimes pretty good on imperialist issues and shit like that. He's part of the reason why we didn't end up going to war with Iran. He was in Trump's ear telling him, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" Yo. So again, but yeah, I played that Tulsi clip though because keep that same fucking energy when it comes to other countries. When it comes to the countries you're proud to serve in, like Africa, where y'all fucking imperializing that fucking continent and balkanizing it and trying to keep it poor so they can be entrapped by your bullshit IMF deals. Yeah. Keep that same fucking energy. Keep that same energy for them too. So with that being said, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop rambling, guys. Go ahead and close the video out there. As always, like, subscribe, and share, and comment. Emphasis on the comments because I like hearing what you guys had to say. You know, let me know if you agree with me on the Tulsi aspect. You know, let me know. Talk to me. Talk to me, baby. And yeah, also I would like to inform you guys again that the Patreon is live. I have a couple of videos on there. I have some videos from my interview with Franco. I have some fun videos on there about like the OnlyFans situation that went down a couple months ago. I also talk about aliens on there. I know I have a lot of shit on there, but yeah, they're not behind a paywall or anything, so you guys can go check it out. The link's down below too in the description box. Also, if you scan the QR code in the bottom left, I know on my hands. Oh, my hand's going. Now it's back. It's going now. Oh, back again. All right. I'm a fucking child. I know. But yeah, click that John down below. It'll take you there to the Patreon as well. Yeah, like I said, it's not behind a paywall, but if you can, it would be greatly appreciated. You know, if you guys donate, you know, just it's a way to help support the show. What else? Oh yeah, the QR code down below will take you to different things, you know, different ways to support the show as well, guys. But you guys support it with the love, you know, the views, the comments, bro. I love hearing what you guys have to say, bro. You guys always have such dope takes. Even there's been a couple people that disagree with me on some shit that I've talked to. So, but yeah, guys, thanks for all the love you show me. Again, apologies for missing Monday's video. That's what I'm doing. I'm posting these on Tuesday today. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Peace.